Hi, this is Jeff Orrock at the National Weather Service office in Wakefield, Virginia. This is our winter storm briefing, following up from yesterday's briefing on the snow expected basically Friday evening into Saturday. This briefing is as of 9 a.m. here on Friday, recorded here at around 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, January 10th. There are winter storm warnings in effect for a broad portion of the area. This is the locations where we do expect the most significant snow totals of anywhere from about 3 to 4 inches. Could be a band in here of about 4 to 6 inches within that warning area. The area in the advisory, north and south of the area you see in pink, that's where we expect still snow accumulations, but lesser snow amounts that may still impact travel, but won't be quite as significant as far as snow totals are concerned. Here is the expected snowfall forecast for the entire region. So you kind of see a broad swath here of 3 to 4 inches of snow, and that really runs from Lake Gaston up through Franklin. It even clips parts of Harborview, getting over here towards Portsmouth and North Suffolk, getting into also as well as Norfolk and Portsmouth, there at the terminals, there at the Port Authority. All of that is expected to get, maybe about 3 to 4 inches of snow. On up the peninsula, expecting maybe anywhere from a good 3 to 4 inches of snow. And going north, maybe as far north as Richmond, somewhere on the north side here, somewhere around Richmond up to Farmville, we'll have maybe that 3 to 4 inch line. And then somewhere in here, we'll see a little bit higher total. So let's kind of get a little bit tighter into some of our local jurisdictions. So here we are down towards Hampton Roads, and it's trying to find the dividing line between, where we'll get a little bit of snow down here by the North Carolina-Virginia border, maybe about 2 inches of snow, maybe about 2 to 3 as you push into Chesapeake. But then the darker blue here, where you see it running through Norfolk, Portsmouth, and then back towards parts of Suffolk, this darker blue, that's actually 3 to 4 inches of snow. And so even though it says 2 to 3, that dot is actually just outside this heavier band. So we do think most of the city of Norfolk and Portsmouth could actually make a run at about 3 to 4 inches of snow. Once you get up here on the peninsula, you see 3 to 4, but then you start to see these darker blues popping in. So that's actually getting up to 4 to 6 inches of snow. Same thing here in Cape Charles, maybe 3 to 4, but then you get that darker blue going up the peninsula, up the eastern shore, and you're getting into 4 to 6 inches of snow. Kind of going back out here towards Richmond, again, that gradient is going to be right across Richmond, as it always is. Somewhere on the south side, probably getting about a good 3 to 4 inches of snow, maybe even in downtown. As you go north, it's going to decrease to about 2 to 3 inches of snow. As you go out towards Short Pump, if you're going out towards Ashland, going up north, the snow amounts will probably decrease the further north you go. And if you notice as you go south, you do start to see that darker blue edging in here, just on the very southern part of the image here, where you have that 4 to 6 inches. So realize that 4 to 6 inches of snow is just to the southeast of downtown Richmond, covering parts of Chesterfield here. So we'll have to see exactly how that sets up. Going up into the Maryland Eastern Shore, that's where the gradient's going to be as well. So, Salisbury probably making a run at 2 to 3 inches. Could it be a little bit higher? 3 to 4 inches is just to the south down here in Snow Hill and down towards Chincoteague and Wallops Island, 3 to 4 inches. And as you go a little bit further south, 4 to 6 by the time you get down to Accomack and Exmoor. So, this band could shift a little bit further to the north. So Salisbury might be able to start getting into the 3 to 4 inch accumulations, and Chincoteague maybe 4 to 6. So good gradient there right across the Maryland Eastern Shore. This is our worst case snowfall amounts, and so you kind of see this darker blue is that broad band of 4 to 6 inches. So if we're going to make a run at 6 inches of snow, it could get as far north as Salisbury and Ocean City and then down through the eastern shore as we spoke about. Even Norfolk might be able to make a run at 5 to 6 inches, maybe just near Franklin. And then going up north towards Richmond, maybe Richmond can make a run at 5 inches, we'll see. Once you get up to Ashland, the probability of that much snow does start to decrease a bit. Out towards Farmville, probably going to see that closer into the 4 to 6. So somewhere in here, right in the middle of this dark blue band, that's where the sweet spot's going to be. And that's where the best accumulations are going to set up here overnight. So this gets into a little bit of our timing. It is going to come in from the west. Snow will actually start out pretty light initially, and then we're probably going to go from light snowfall to heavier snowfall with higher snowfall rates pretty quickly. So you see here in Farmville, I'd say around as early as 6 p.m. we might just start to see some light snow falling, and then getting into the Richmond area by, let's say, 7 p.m., and maybe getting into parts of Hampton Roads, here towards Norfolk, Portsmouth, Hampton, by about 9 to 10 p.m. Things start to snow there. And then shortly after that, the snowfall rates are going to increase pretty steadily. We'll kind of step through a little bit of a model simulated radar here. And so this is 5 p.m. showing most of the snow to our west. As we get into about 5, 6, here's 7 o'clock, snow's starting to spread in west of Richmond, getting very close to Farmville. So we're going to go from maybe what was light snow, and the snow's going to start to pick up pretty quickly, especially after about 7 o'clock, in the west. By 8 o'clock, it's really starting to move quickly to the east, starting to get on the edge of Richmond, starting to get here in Emporia, and this is where the blue is. That's probably where the snowfall's starting to come down as some pretty decent, light snow at least, and then the rates are going to increase. By the time we get into 9 o'clock, honing in on Hampton Roads, and by the time we get into 10 o'clock, it should be snow just about everywhere, except for maybe the Maryland Eastern Shore isn't quite snowing yet, but I think Virginia Eastern Shore will have snow. And then once we get to about 11, now the snow comes in earnest. We start to get some good snowfall rates. We're starting to really pick up accumulation everywhere starting at about 11 p.m. And notice here down in North Carolina, our friends in North Carolina, starting out as all snow here at 11 p.m. Moving ahead till about 1 in the morning, you do kind of see a little bit of a mix here north of the Albemarle Sound from Edenton over maybe to Jarvisburg, but most of us are still locked into all snow, and it's going to be a pretty good snowfall rate at around 1 in the morning here on Saturday. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you do notice this mixing band starting to push a little bit north. Elizabeth City, Edenton might start to get a little bit of a wintry mix, snow, sleet, eventually probably changing over to a little bit of rain here during the early morning hours. But again, if you look at Virginia Beach, you look at the peninsula, even back towards Emporia, we're kind of still locked in the snow even at 3 a.m. By the time we get to 5 o'clock, it does look like some of that warm air sneaking into the south end of Virginia Beach, maybe the south end of Chesapeake. But if I zoom in tight, you can see that snow line is still running right across the parts of Norfolk and Portsmouth. So maybe about 5, we start to mix with a little bit of sleet, maybe even get some freezing drizzle in there as this thing tries to end. Richmond's, still seeing some snow at 5. Really, everybody's pretty much seeing some snow in the east, but you do see the snow ending in the west. So it looks like Farmville and places west of there, it looks like the snow is going to be starting to taper off around 5, and especially by 6 a.m. By 6 a.m., snow is really starting to taper off, especially in the I-95 corridor. Still got some decent snow maybe along the Chesapeake Bay. Norfolk, again, right, still on that edge where, it could be snow, could be a little bit of a wintry mix there in Norfolk. Hampton and the peninsula probably still in mostly snow. And then honestly, by about 7 and 8 o'clock, the event's really coming to an end. Here's 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. The system's really pulling off the coast. Things are starting to end pretty quickly. And then I say by about 9 o'clock, this thing is pretty much wrapped up and over, and it's moved offshore. So that's kind of what it looks like how it's going to play out. You see our ending times there, which we just talked about. So, ending Central Virginia there between, 5 and 7, and then ending at the coast, between 7 and 10 a.m. We just went through that. As far as the snowfall rates, the snowfall rates are going to pick up in the west, earlier. So we'll start to see maybe inch to an inch and a half an hour snowfall rates, coming in from the southwest, moving northeast between 7 p.m. and 1. And then really from about, midnight to about 6 in the morning, that's when we're going to see our best snowfall rates really across the entire area, from Norfolk back towards Franklin, Emporia, and then north up through Farmville, Richmond, Tappahannock, and even Salisbury. So you get an idea here that there's going to be a decent band of snow that's going to lock in, and the bulk of the accumulation is only going to occur from about 11 p.m. to about 5 a.m. But with the snowfall rates around an inch to an inch and a half an hour, and it being cold, we can quickly accumulate, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of snow, with some people maybe getting up to 5 to 6, worst case. The real limiting factor with this system is just how fast it's moving. The fact that the window for snowfall is only really about a good solid 6 hours. We're not expecting much snowfall beyond that time frame. Really not expecting much icing at all. We kind of already hit the timing pretty hard. Main thing is I'll focus on the temperatures across the entire region here, no matter where you are. Temperatures are below freezing, I'd say, after about 7 o'clock for the most part. And when we have the heaviest snowfall rates occurring, temperatures are pretty much all in the mid to upper 20s. So going to be cold enough for snow. Going to be some good accumulations. Going to be pretty efficient here overnight. It does look like most people may try to get above freezing by around around 9 to let's say 10 o'clock on Saturday, especially by 11 to 12. I think most of us are getting above freezing with some good sunshine. So when this thing ends, we're going to see the sun starting to come out, I'd say by mid-morning, and by lunchtime and early afternoon, I think all of us are going to see quite a bit of sun, which will start to work on the snow, give us a little bit of melting. But the bad news is, if you look at these low temperatures for Sunday morning, this column right here, you see the temperatures Sunday morning are all dropping pretty much into the teens and 20s. So expect anything that melts on Saturday afternoon to refreeze back into ice by Sunday morning. And, you know, we get it back above freezing on Sunday and Monday, but you notice these low temperatures all very, very cold, all well below freezing. And so just some melting, refreezing going on for the next several days. I'll also highlight the fact that if you look at the high temperatures on Monday compared to the high temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday, there is another Arctic front that's going to come through Monday evening and Tuesday, and that's why you see a big drop in the daytime high temperatures. And even if you look at the low temperatures Wednesday and Thursday, some really cold air is coming back once again, so winter is not letting its grip loose of us. The good news is this Arctic front will be dry, and so we're not expecting any precipitation with that front. With that, we appreciate everybody joining us here to check in on the video, and we'll see what kind of snow falls across Central Virginia. Thanks.